how to navigate rising costs without sinking your business. Kevin Weir, your action business coach, helping you achieve your business dreams. Now, the number one thing that I hear from business owners lately is this, quote, I don't know what's coming next. But here's the truth. Uncertainty has always been on the menu. If you think that this is the most uncertain business environment you've ever encountered, well, to be honest with you, uncertainty is always present in our business society. It's just a fact. And so we have to live with that. But here's the thing is that you can learn to thrive even in uncertain business environments. And so before we get started, why don't you go ahead and hit subscribe below for weekly ideas and knowledge that will help you become a better business owner. So here's the reality. Number one, costs are rising. If you take a look at a government inflation report, those tend to be monkeyed around. It's not a new phenomenon. Republican or Democrat, they figure out ways to make bad information not as bad. But let's face it, costs are rising. Number two, borrowing is expensive. Interest rates are up there compared to the past few years, and I actually just spoke with a person who's doing a startup business and was depending upon investment capital, and a lot of investment capital has dried up and gone to the sidelines, and so she's like, I don't know what to do. And then number three, policies keep changing. We've got, taxes. One big beautiful bill kind of solidified things, but still, state taxes happen to us, especially here in Washington. We've got hosed with a lot more taxes. We've got tariffs going on, and tariff in some ways is a tax that's paid through price pressures from imports. And number three is compliance. We don't know what to comply. The government's always changing its mind. The state, federal, local, they're always changing. So we live in uncertain times. So this leaves so many business owners in a constant state of reaction. You're reacting and you're not leading. See, here's the whole thing is when you are that reacting, you're not leading, you're surviving. And survival can be just simply exhausting. So let's take a look at 3 ways that you can deal with an uncertain business environment. So the number one thing is you need to control what you can and forecast what you can't. Now, how do you go about doing that? When you sit down and put an annual plan together, or even a quarterly plan, you can come up with 3 versions of a plan. Number one, best case scenario. Everything is rosy, everything is moving along, and we've got every strategy we do works brilliantly. Boom. Number 2 is worst case. The world caves in. Everything around me goes to heck in a handbasket, and every strategy I implement completely flops. The third one is your most likely case. It's usually between the best case and the worst case. The most likely case is, okay, it's probably going to happen, and this is the game plan. So the question is, how will you respond to all 3 scenarios? That's going to give you at least some kind of comfort that you have a framework of a plan for all 3 scenarios, so you don't feel like, oh my gosh, I'm totally missing the boat here. I've got at least a plan for all 3. So now number 2 is you need to protect your profit margins aggressively. And see, here's the thing is that a lot of business owners don't protect their margins. They let them go down and don't even realize it. And that's a killer for business. So what are some things you can do to protect your profit margins aggressively? Number 1, you need to raise your prices strategically. I know that's uncomfortable for a lot of business owners. And I've said this before in videos. I've been doing this for 23 years. And I've asked virtually every business owner to raise their prices. And you know how many business owners have come back to me in those 23 years and said, Kevin, that was a bad idea? That's right. 0. None. So take a look at where you can raise your prices. What are your low margin items that need to have a price increase that you know aren't going to be really affected? The customers will keep buying from you. Now, number 2, package services to increase perceived value. Now, I had a coaching session with a client today, and his concern was he sells commodities, and he says, well, they're only looking for the cheapest prices. And I said, well, maybe in their minds, but what about your quality? What about things that you can guarantee that will make that have a higher perception? What is it that you're going to provide to them over and above everybody else? Here's a good example. Gas stations. Back in the day, the margins on gasoline were a lot higher. Today, they're not. I used to work for Atlantic Richfield, and I used to manage a whole territory of stations. And what we called our pool margin, which is what profit the store gets from a gallon of gas, was about 5 cents. It's, or actually, maybe 10 cents. It was pretty low. And so we have to take a look at, okay, what did they do? They created convenience stores, and convenience stores were very elaborate and had different things that you would buy because all of the margin came from inside the convenience store rather than outside of the pumps. Same concept that you have to take a look at. What can I do that I can sell that are much higher margin and differentiated instead of just relying on a teeny tiny, what we call pool margin to get our profits. Okay, and then number 3 is we have to take a look at cut wasteful spending. And so that's where are we wasting money? Do we know what that looks like? Have we audited our own books? So number 1 is control what you can, forecast what you can't. Second one is protect profit margins aggressively. And the third is build a war chest. You need to take a look at how much cash can you retain in the business. Find a way to build up cash reserves if you can. And sometimes that's going to involve taking a look at your retained earnings and maybe hold off on some investments for now and create that pool of cash that sits on the sidelines. The other thing is you can have a line of credit as a last resort. I don't advise using large amounts of credit in a business, but it's there in case the world goes to heck in a handbasket. I'll give you a personal story. When we had a firm of coaches and we were one of the fastest growing firms within Action Coach, we were married to the housing industry, and 2008 and 2009 hit, and we lost almost 70% of all of our clients in a very short period of time because the bank shut off the dollars and they were out of business. What did we have to do? We had to pivot hard, and we had to use lines of credit that we had to keep surviving. And to be honest with you, I came pretty close, but we made it through. And yes, I took a number of years to pay off those lines of credit, but it saved the business. So again, it's nice to have it there. You don't have to use it. I recommend not to use it unless you absolutely have to. So build up cash reserve and have lines of credit. So again, uncertainty is not going away. You don't have to let it paralyze you. Focus in on what you can control, protect your profits, take a look at, prepare for different scenarios. Now, I want you to make sure that you subscribe below so you don't miss the next video. Also, grab my free business success quiz. There's a link for that also below. That's going to give you an idea of what's working in your business and what's not working in your business so you can zero in on what's important. Have a great week. Subscribe. I'll see you next week.